Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. Each week, we're getting multiple subscribers. And for, a small channel like us, we appreciate all that help. So thank you very much. And leave those notifications on. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Let's get right into it. Blue Bomber talk. The Bombers still rolling. What's your biggest takeaway from the Bomber win over the Elks?
Well, the biggest takeaway for me, we've shit on this offense quite a bit this season, saying what the heck's going on, returning guys, veteran guys, and why can't they get it done? So I'm going to praise the offense like crazy in this episode because they came alive. And that Edmonton D had been pretty stingy points-wise coming into this game. Yes, they've given up yards here and there, but that Bomber D just took the top off, that Bomber offense just took the top off and crushed the Elks. The long ball, which too we complained about a bit earlier this year, was on point. Claros to Demski, Claros to Lawler, Wheatfall, and then Lawler's catches, unreal in this game. Like, I couldn't believe some of the catches he made. So yeah, kudos to the offense, and hopefully they can continue that.
The Bomber offense is the most dangerous in the CFL right now. And it's not because strictly of the 55 points, which is the most points scored in the CFL this season. We've been slowly watching this team find their offensive identity, their identity on offense. It's not an offensive identity. Any which way, as fans, we were perplexed about the drop-off in points early in the season, the uncharacteristic turnovers, especially in the red zone, the inconsistent play of the O-line. Folks were questioning, losing Jamarcus Hardrick and transition to Eric Lofton. No one's heard Eric Lofton's name much lately, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
We've seen this team struggle with injuries, including a two-game stretch where we were wondering about Brady Oliveira's health and probably if he was disgruntled about playing time coming out of that injury. We questioned guys like Zach Caleros and Stanley Bryant and Pat Neufeld and even Nick Dembski on were there better days that had passed. But over the past 7 games, we have seen this team lick their wounds and battle forward from an 0-4 start. And it's just the O-line is coming. The less we hear about the line, the better. And they're playing that bully ball with running back Brady Oliveira, who's deep into MOP conversations now. Once he got into that chicken box, he's rolling now. That 33-yard rumble. That
was a beauty.
Great. And of course, you're always going to get comparisons with Andrew Harris because of the Park connection, the Winnipeg-born starting running back connection. And that was an Andrew Harris type run, but at the same time, it was totally Brady Oliveira. So yeah, man, I'm hyped about this offense, and I was one of the doubters at the beginning of the year. At 0-4, we're like, man, what has happened? But Michael Shea, like we said last week, was that rock. And they slowly are they're stacking these 1-0 weeks on top of each other.
Yeah, we were questioning, at some point, what the heck did they do signing Dalton Schoen, signing Oliveira when they should have probably invested in an O-line or different guys here and there, right? But I mean, look at the receivers that have stepped up here. Yes, Kenny Lawler, obviously, wicked game, 2 touchdowns. Dembski, same thing, 2 touchdowns. But Wheatfall had that great touchdown as well. Claricius had a big catch, and Ontario Wilson has been fantastic too. So the Bombers, and hopefully these guys are all starting to get a bit more comfortable, and this is just the beginning of this offense continuing on, right? And hopefully it's not just a 1-game thing, but these guys are getting comfortable, and Claros was just finding them. Like, they were open. Buck Pierce called a great game. I'll give him credit, because we've crapped on him quite a bit too. Just a solid game, getting everybody involved, over 400 yards through the air. Oliveira had a bunch of yards on the ground. It's nice to have to that you can rest your offense in the fourth quarter, right? When you're cruising like that. And to me, the Elks came out and they scored in that second half, and you're sitting there going, okay, it's a CFL. There's lots of game left, right? But the Bomber offense just responded. Elks scored again. Bombers offense responded, and then that was basically it. The Elks couldn't come back from it. So yeah, great to see it. Hopefully they can keep it going, but that was fun to watch.
Didn't see that one coming.
No, I was expecting another low-scoring game.
Yeah, especially in a back-to-back.
Yeah, and I thought maybe Kyle Bethel Thompson would have been better. than Tre Ford, but the Bomber D shut him down pretty good until the game was out of hand, right? Yes, he ended with some respectable numbers, but that Bomber D were different in that second half.
We're going to talk about Tre Ford later, but Edmonton, Jarius Jackson, what?
Yeah, he blew it. He blew it, and I was on his bandwagon hoping he would do well, but I think he ended up blowing that whole situation by going back to Ford in the first place and then
Yeah.
switching back to MBT after that. They had an opportunity to make the playoffs. They were rolling, and I think he messed it up.
Thought too much.
Yeah.
Thought too much. What do the Bombers need to do to beat the Ticats? October 4th, another Friday night football game in Hamilton. Bombers love playing in Hamilton in big time games.
Yeah, not regular season games.
Those have been a bit rough. So what can they do on offense, defense, and special teams to win? On offense, I'd say continue leaning on Brady Oliveira. That's like obvious statement, but they got to go through that bully ball. It's the Bombers, the best football the Bombers are. It's the best football. No what is it? Whatever. The Bombers best are at best bunny. Can't even talk right now because I'm excited about them playing bully ball, and it opens up the game plan everywhere else. Oliveira over the 7-game streak has put up 783 total yards per game. 100, sorry,
per game. That's crazy.
7 games. 112 per game. And now he's finding the end zone. Like we mentioned, that 30-plus yard touchdown reception. He had a nose for the end zone on that one.
Yeah.
It's only going to get stronger, in my opinion. So the focus on Oliveira wanting to win a championship in that interview, that's fueling his production and his energy. And that fuels the rest of the Bombers' offense. So, man, just play bully ball. It's the same vibe when we had another Bomber running back a couple years ago. Lean on him. What the success runs through Oliveira.
Well, yeah, and we're in October now, right? The weather's obviously going to start changing. The snow is going to come at some point. The ground is going to be frozen. So that that running game's got to be humming going into the playoffs, right? Because we've seen it here in the past. It's been cold here in November, right? That changes the passing game altogether. So that running game needs to be huge. And really, Zach Claros, the last time he played Hamilton, didn't have the strongest of games against Chris Jones. 3 interceptions that game, where the Bombers had to have the last drive of the game to win the game, right? Yeah. So they may exactly rely on Stanbeck for BC, ended up having over 100 yards in the last game. So that bodes well for the Bombers run game as well, right? So
absolutely.
And we've seen Bombers go into Hamilton and just stink in the last 2 seasons, right? Dane Evans made them look like amateurs, and then last year with all the turnovers. So, and you're coming off a big win where you crushed the Elks. They came off a huge win against Saskatchewan last year and then got crushed in Hamilton. So that offense has got to come out, take that crowd kind of out of that game and, continue to build off this game. And hopefully that carries into the playoffs.
Yeah, they got to beat up that Hamilton. And that's when the O-line is at its best, when it's just going forward and whooping ass. So I hope they.
Well, yeah, and Hamilton ended up with 3 sacks against BC last game and brought tons of pressure against Nathan Rourke. So this will be a good test for that Bomber O-line to see how far they actually have come. Because the Elks got nothing on them. Like the Elks had no pressure on Claros. Claros had all day back there.
That BC O-line too is something. Oof.
Yeah.
There. Defense. What they got to do?
Stop Bo Levi, man. That guy is flying right now. Yeah. His stats to end that game after the slower start: 29 of 30, 279, 2 touchdowns. That's crazy, and that's the comeback win once you were down, right?
Yep.
Man, and he's just leading the league in everything with stats, passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions still, I believe, but he's only thrown 2 in the last 5 games, so they're going to have to get at him. BC got him 3 times last week. That Bomber D-line is going to need to get at him, and that defense is going to have to be on those toes, especially those DBs, because Bo Levi is playing lights out right now.
Oh, he's playing smart, efficient football.
Yeah,
that O-line is protecting them. They've given up 24 sacks, which is second least in the league right now. And the Bombers, surprisingly to me, are last with 22.
Yeah, not much going on in the sack department for them there.
No, they're getting pressure because the secondary is obviously jumping on these balls. So they have to make sure that they get pressure with a 3- and 4-man blitz, because you want to drop as many people as you can, and still be able to defend the run. Hamilton's not very good against the run, but it's not James Butler who's starting Bell. was starting. He was an efficient runner going over 5 yards per carry, but I think he might be hurt. And so you got James Butler coming in, who's had some good games against the Bombers when he played with BC.
I think Butler was actually benched last game for Hamilton.
I think he was hurt last game too. He got
Is he hurt or was he benched?
Bell and Miller kind of got.
Yeah, because their run game against BC was not very good. Bell was the guy.
Oh.
He got just over 5 yards per carry, but they didn't run it a lot. So,
And
but I guess they got behind, I guess, right? So you're gonna have to start throwing it a little bit more.
You can't sleep on Butler though.
No, not at all. He's a very good running back.
He has skill, so they can't sleep on him. The Bombers haven't been stout against the run.
Yeah. How many times in the last 4 or 5 years that Willie Jefferson's been here that Bombers are on a winning streak, and this is probably the first time that you're not really hearing his name too much, stats wise, and being a key cog in this. You know, you're hearing more about the DBs for the Bombers and Tony Jones and Michael Ayers lately, who are kind of stepping up. Reddick Ramsey, who's been on fire this year and had another good game. So it's kind of interesting how that's kind of changed. You know, and different guys are stepping up this year and not just having to be Willie Jefferson or Adam Bighill.
Yeah, and I think although a lot of that is the Willie Jefferson effect, it's hard to put that guy one-on-one. You know what I mean? Either you're leaving a running back to chip on his end, that means you're taking a receiver out of the routes for a bit, or you have to double team the guy. And you can't really focus on his side of the field in regards to throwing the ball low because you know he's going to be a danger to bat it down. So I think there's still a Willie Jefferson effect, but like you say, it's not on the stat sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not being talked about as much either, right? So, I mean, that D-line altogether had some good stats throughout this last game. So they're doing their job, you know, but it's just it's funny when you don't hear, you know, Willie Jefferson with this sack, Willie Jefferson with this knockdown kind of thing, right? But Woods and Thomas had a good game as well. And Garbett with the fumble recovery too.
They're definitely have to depend on that rotation.
Yeah.
Is Adams going to be okay? I saw he was on the, I hope that's maintenance. I hope Adams is on the injury list for maintenance because they're going to really have to depend on all that rotation. Jake Thomas, Schmeichel, Garbett, Haba, who is also, I believe, on the injury list, but hopefully also maintenance. So, yeah, that defensive rotation, having fresh guys in will also be beneficial for the Bombers.
No, for sure, yeah.
Special teams, what you got?
Just keep doing what they're doing. I know Dylan Mitchell probably had the best game as a returner so far against the Bombers that I've seen. He had a almost 25-yard average and almost 230 yards of return yards. So he had a good return there to start the second half. So Bombers just got to shore that up a little bit. Castillo was called into action, did what he had to do, and Sheehan, he punted once at the end of the game, 2 times.
I don't think that'll happen again. Is Lawrence Woods their punt returner?
Oh, that's what I meant to look up today.
Lawrence Wood the third. He by average, he's still up there in regards to top 3, top 5 in the CFL. I don't know if I'm not sure. I should have checked their active roster in regards to what their plans are this game. But in regards to Sheehan being 7th in the league in net punting, that might not be a good combination. Because if he could get his hands on the ball and just flip the field, the Bombers do not want to give Bo Levi Mitchell a shorter field.
Yeah.
So Jamison Sheehan, keep those guys on the sidelines. Hit a couple boomers.
Hopefully. That'd be nice, right?
Use wow. Use one word to describe the Bombers' current winning streak. I'll go with relief. Like I said earlier, I was one of those hardcore Bomber fans that were worried about the team possibly holding on too long, not considering also the veteran presence, but the injuries and, you know, there's a little bit of a freak out. And after seeing that performance, it's a bit of a relief to know that they're hitting their stride at the right time. Of course, there's no guarantee, not banking on anything, but there's a lot less stress going on in Bomber Nation on this 7-game winning streak. Folks are having a good time and can breathe easy.
But yeah, one win out of the last 3, and they basically host the West, right?
Yes, sir.
So I mean, we picked these. When did we talk about it? I guess when they were 6-6 or something. We both said I think they're going to finish 9-9, which they very well could still. But we thought they'd lose a couple games already getting to this point, or at least one coming into it. So definitely good. I'm going to call it gritty because a lot of these games have been close. They've been one-score games besides the last game. Or I guess the first Edmonton game wasn't one score, but it was close throughout, and the Bombers finally took care of that business. But it's been a close, grinding kind of schedule, or win schedule, but it's good to see that they're getting it done. They're getting the magic back that they did in winning games last year, because we saw losses against Toronto earlier this year, Saskatchewan, where we thought, okay, maybe they're, that the way they were able to pull out games last season out of it, and even the Red Blacks, they weren't doing that this year, right? And now they're finally getting back to that. So that veteran presence has taken over, and the team is just playing some solid ball.
I like the moxie that this team's starting to get.
Yeah.
They're on a 5-game winning streak, but then when Brady Oliveira broke it into the end zone, you start these little dances going on, this little movement. You see them eating Popeye's chicken after the game now. And there's just, I don't want to use the S word. That's a different Bomber team. There's a moxie to the team. There's a moxie to this team, which is encouraging on offense as well. There's like a true identity going on.
Well, and you have a lot of new guys that popped up on this squad this year, right? And then a lot of guys that had to step up due to injuries.
Yeah.
Like that linebacking core right now is only one guy, and he wasn't even a starter last year in Reddick Ramsey, right?
Yeah.
That D line is just Willie Jefferson and Jake Thomas, and it's got a bunch of new guys. The DBs, Brandon Alexander, Evan Holm. I mean, Parker has been out all year. It doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. So yeah, it's a lot of new guys plus the receivers, man. So yeah, they're starting to gel, and hopefully they keep it going, man, because now it's getting crunch time. Playoffs are coming.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Bomber fans, put your comments in the comment section below, and please smash that subscribe button. Benny and I appreciate it greatly. Thoughts on recent MOP odds posted by Play Now? Are there any surprises? Are you like, oh, this person doesn't belong? I shouldn't say this doesn't belong there, or he just surprises. Or is there anyone underrated or ignored that's not on the list that you want to see on there?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, I'm looking at it. Okay, Nathan Rourke's at plus 5,000, which is a long shot still, right? But why is he even on this list? The guy has not played well coming into this, right? And right now he's listed as better odds than Zach Collaros. Again, has not had the greatest season, but this last game should have propelled him, to a lot higher on that list than Nathan Rourke. So, yeah, go ahead.
I keep sometimes getting into this MOP MVP race, and I kind of lean towards MVP. So I was kind of, yes, Cody Fajardo, he's 7-3 and was a starter. Dude's throwing the ball at 73%. But I'm trying to convince myself that he's leading the MOP race. Like if the season ended today, I would have a hard time giving it to him.
Yeah.
I'd give it to his running back. What's the running back's name again? I can't remember.
Not Stanbeck.
But I'd give it to Beverett. I've on Beverett train for a while. He's not even on the list. Like this guy's holding the defense together, making plays after the loss of veteran Sean Lemon. So why isn't he on the list? His name should be on there. So I guess mine is Montreal. Like Cody Fajardo should be on there. I don't think he's number one. I think in regards to outstanding seasons, Bo Levi and Zach Collaros are having a little bit more outstanding, but that win-loss record is hard to ignore at 7-3-1.
Yeah, I think if Bo Levi Mitchell drags his team into the playoffs, I think he wins this. If he misses it, unfortunately, even with his stats, I don't think you can't be an MOP on a team that doesn't make the playoffs.
No.
To me, Brady Oliveira probably took a huge step now with the touchdowns finally in his pocket, and the way he's been running the last few games and receiving might be the leader. Cody Fajardo, I hate the win stat to pick that out, because it's not a QB stat. It should never be a QB stat. And I heard someone on TSN saying it. Oh, Fajardo has the most wins in the league. Well, no, he doesn't. And plus, his team won twice when he was out. Anyways, like his stats are pedestrian to me. He's played well for sure.
I agree, stats are pedestrian,
but pedestrian. And you just also the last 4 games they've only won once, and they tied Calgary in one of them too.
So then, if we're not considering win-loss, then does that not apply to Bo Levi Mitchell?
It's just the playoffs thing. Like if he gets his team into the playoffs, then he's good even at 6-10 or 6-12 or something like that.
It has been that kind of year.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly it, right? Normally, Zach Collaros would be running away with this thing at the Bombers being 9-6, right? But his stats haven't been great either this year. It's been a lot of defensive, and like you say, Tyrese Beverett was actually surprising to me not being on that list, because I remember you talking about him. The guy's almost at 100 tackles, right? I know Roland Milligan's had a good year, and he deserves to be on that list too. But
he's on the list.
I would have probably put Justin McInnes even higher than that, where they have him on that list.
Yeah, yeah. Nathan Rourke's a bit weird. That's odd.
It's weirdly stupid, especially the guy got benched 2 games ago, and now they're questioning whether he should even start next game.
Oh, that's nonsense.
Yeah, so
Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk. We talked about Scheifele and Connor playing together on the same line. How about on the PK? What are your thoughts on that?
interesting move, but I am not sold on that at all. We've watched these guys struggle defensively, and I know the PK is different than that, but now you got these guys playing possibly the power, or obviously the power play. They got their first line minutes, which is a lot, and then you got PK. Where are they going to be defensively late in the game when you really need them to possibly score a goal or two here? Their defensive game is going to kind of go to the crapper for me. I like that second PK unit because I'm assuming Lowry will be on the first one. Second PK unit to be more depth guys that aren't playing that much throughout the game. You know, that you're not using or wasting Scheifele and Connor's energy on a PK when they need to come out and score goals.
Yeah, that's a little mind-boggling. I do like to see them on the PKs together to start the season because there is some kind of offensive energy that they have together and comfort. So yeah, on the PK, and I will take that more into account than 5-on-5 hockey because they are definitely. I'm sorry, I'm not saying definitely. I've not watched the analytics. They are known for being a defensive liability,
Yeah.
which is where I'd be most concerned about the 5-on-5. And like I said, I think I said this a couple episodes. I'd rather see him than them kind of separated. But any which way, power play, I'm cool with.
Yeah, and even maybe if you want Scheifele on the PK because maybe his face-off abilities, right? He's getting better and better in that department. Then okay, but yeah, I'd probably go with a different winger than Kyle Connor. You got to keep these guys fresh. You're going to rely on them. There's not a lot of scoring depth down this lineup right now, right? Your first two lines are going to be it. Lowry line will chip in here and there, but that fourth line right now to me doesn't look like it's going to get very many goals here and there, right? So I think you got to keep these guys fresh because you're going to need them a lot.
And I'm saying this without knowing what teams like Colorado or Florida have done with their players in regards to using their first and second liners in the PK. But maybe it might be, I'll play devil's advocate, a benefit to this team because they look pretty soft going into that first round against Colorado. Maybe playing the season on PK, and yes, if it's getting taxing, go, hey, let's pull it back a little bit. But maybe having them work on cardio in game or stamina in game they'll be more effective later on in the season. I don't know. Just playing devil's advocate, putting that on the table.
Scheifele's probably in tip-top shape. Kyle Connor probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, he was being pushed around too in that first round.
They were all terrible.
Can the Jets rely on backups Eric Comrie and Capo Kakkonen? Compared to Lauren Broswell, no. The Jets were blessed to have that kind of veteran presence behind Helly, a guy who went through the grind of a long postseason, won a championship. I think that was so beneficial to the team because they could also play with confidence in front of him.
Yeah.
They knew him from being on the team before. But I think now it puts more pressure on Helly to win. That his games matter a little more because you have the uncertainty of Comrie and Kakkonen, who both haven't looked very good, I guess. I'll give a little more leeway to Kakkonen because he was in San Jose and he had nothing really in front of him. Comrie had a little bit of a better team in Buffalo, but I'm not very confident. So more optimistic with Kakkonen, but I'm not sold on. I haven't put my money on either. But again, there's Wade Flaherty as a goalie coach, and he has put imprints on many goalies. So I don't know, brother. On the fence. I know.
Yeah.
I say on the fence a lot about other folks, but I'm on the fence. Sorry.
Right now, I'm officially worried about this backup position because, yeah, like you say, I feel like it's going to rely on Helly making sure he wins every game he plays, and then probably down the stretch, if they're battling for a playoff position, that it's going to be requiring Helly to play too many games, and then if they get in the playoffs, we get the same as we had last year, kind of thing. Both these guys are under 900 save percentage for their career. Comrie had 1 year last year with the Jets where he was 920. That was a wicked season. So hopefully he can pull that back up. But since then, he hasn't been very good, even when he was in Buffalo. Again, under 900. And Kakkonen, same thing. Like he's under 900. Is three over, and both of them over 3 goals against average as well. So right now, I'm not too excited about seeing this pair, and I'm worried of how many games Hellebuck's gonna have to play. But hopefully, I am wrong.
Wade Flaherty, you have
to earn your paycheck this year, buddy.
Oh gosh. What are your 3 favorite Jets left wingers? I'll go first with one.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Dougie Smale on there because he was from the OJ that I grew up with. He's fourth all-time scoring in that 1.0 world with 395 points, bro.
That's pretty good.
So I'll give a shout out to Dougie Smith.
All right, I'll go grinder as well, or more of a grind. I'm going Chris King with the Jets for a little bit at the end there, but I love the way the guy played, always ready to fight and punch people's faces out and be that enforcer, protector kind of guy on the ice. So I liked watching him.
Yeah, him and Ty Domi on the team at the same time.
That was a great trade. That was a great trade.
Oh my gosh. You go next. Who else would you have on there?
Just from prowess, I'm gonna go with Keith Tkachuk. Obviously he had his issues with Winnipeg. Winnipeg had their issues with Tkachuk at the end, but the guy brought it, scoring 50 goals to help the Jets get into the playoffs there at the end of it all. So again, another tough guy on the ice. Didn't give a shit, would get in the corners and battle everybody.
Yeah, for top three power forwards that I've gotten to watch, I can't go back in history and take account of all of them. He'd be in mine.
Mm-hmm.
Close to Cam Neely. I loved Cam Neely.
Oh yeah,
that's Jets fan, whatever. I love Cam Neely. I would also have Keith Tkachuk. So shout out to him. And the third one for me would be Andrew Ladd, more sentimental than production, although he produced very well with the Winnipeg Jets, with the squads that he had. He was a great leader, the OG captain of the Winnipeg Jets 2.0. I almost forgot there for a second, so I'll go with Andrew Ladd as the third one for me.
All right, I'm going to pick Nick Ehlers as my last one. Again, love watching the guy playing. Hopefully this is his year where he takes off and doesn't get injured and can play a full season and show us what he can really do on the ice. But yeah, he's fun to watch, quick, and everything like that.
Winnipeg Jets fans, put your comments in the comment section below. Please help us out by pressing that subscribe button. Who are your top three left wingers? But we've done right wingers, centers, and forwards. So go ahead and put your three top forwards in NHL Jets history, and maybe we'll do that next week. Who knows? We'll see.
Yep.
I think it's pretty apparent, but we'll see. Let's move on to quick shots. Any CFL trade deadline action in your thoughts?
I don't think anything's going to happen. Everyone's still in the mix. Like even Calgary's technically kind of still in the mix. So I can't see any team kind of giving up that opportunity besides Calgary, really, because they first should know that they're pretty much done. But every other team has a chance. So yeah, no one's going to get moved.
Yeah, no one has a chance of making themselves worse with a piece that's worth trading for at the deadline. And no one wants to make anyone better. Everyone's still in the mix. Always shout out to 2019, October 8th, October 9th. Bombers traded for Zach Collaros.
Yep.
Where would the best situation be for Tre Fords next season? I'm going to say Edmonton. I think Jarius Jackson is the good coach for him. Just game plan for him all off season. Don't have to worry about they can't bring back three last names. They can't bring him back. They have to go with Ford and invest the time in him, knowing that they can be so close. Like that defense is there. They have the pieces around them are there to develop. Give them the full offseason. It's quick shots. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel like Edmonton's going to be like, hey, we have to win now again. Like they're going to be in that mode that we have to win and show these fans we can win. For me, I'd like to see maybe Tre Fords find a backup position that in a stable organization, like that he can learn at least from your, even say Zach Collaros behind him to learn how to become a professional and take that next step. Because I want to see this guy succeed, and I don't know if that'll happen by him becoming a starter next year.
Hey, I would love to see him as a backup, learning from Zach Collaros. I would love that, and then knowing that he would have Buck Pierce, a former quarterback, also to be hands-on. Don't be wrong, I love that.
Unless Buck Pierce takes over the Elks next year.
Why would you say that? Why don't you wait till? Oh,
sorry.
Who are you, power three in the CFL right now? Go ahead.
Just name them off or go from 3 to 1. What do you want to do?
1, 2, 3. Who do you got?
I got Winnipeg, Hamilton, and then Montreal.
Hammy's getting up in there. I'll go Winnipeg, Montreal, Saskatchewan. Montreal's holding on because of their reputation and their win-loss record, but I haven't been impressed with them in the past.
Right. Well, now they've clinched the East, right? So
no, put in neutral.
3 weeks to go, and they're done. So
why risk?
Yeah.
Why risk? Why show a playbook? Thoughts on the Laine injury? Shady hit from the guy sticking out his leg a bit, and I totally agree with Subban. Someone should have kicked his ass. That's my thought. It's such a shame that this guy is losing his season. It's not good for his confidence. Like his homie Nick Ehlers said, it's going to be tough. But man, it sucks. Shady.
Yeah, they got kind of good news. He's out 2 to 3 months, so he's not out for the whole season. You watch it and you're like, oh, okay, Laine could have pulled in his leg. This guy didn't have to do it. But you're gonna watch it. The guy kind of pushes down with his leg onto Laine's leg as well. So terrible hit. I feel for Laine because, hey man, he could have time to turn this thing around, his career around, got through his troubles, and hopefully this would have been the year to put it there. But now it's gonna be tough coming back from that.
And Montreal is probably the most European feel of a city that we have in Canada. I think it would be a market that he would have thrived in, man.
Yeah.
Where's Saku Koivu from? He's Sweden.
Finland.
There you go.
Laine is Finnish too, though. You remember
That's
that?
What I'm saying. There you go.
Okay.
I was like, Sweden? I thought you might have gotten that wrong. That was the point. Biggest surprise in the NFL season so far?
I got to go with the Vikings. You know, being 4-0, looking as good as they are. Crushing some good teams at home, San Francisco and Houston. Almost blowing one against Green Bay. But yeah, Sam Darnold's looked really good. Couple mistakes here and there, but he's done enough, and he knows, hey, get into my star players' hands, and everything will go well.
I ain't gonna go with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders being 3-1 and sitting atop the NFC East. Very impressive. I just didn't expect anything from them. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
I just want to point out my second one was also Jaden Daniels on there. I was deciding which one to go with, so there you go.
Thank you for leaving it for me. Anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and have a good week.
And in the words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.